The most dangerous manipulator in your life never raises their voice, never threatens you, and never shows their real intentions. And psychology has finally exposed exactly how they do it. You think manipulation looks like control, like aggression, like obvious pressure. But the most dangerous manipulation in your life looks like kindness, like concern, like love. And today's psychology pulls back the curtain on exactly how it works, so it never works on you again. The first tactic is called gaslighting. This is when someone makes you question your own reality. They say things like, "that never happened," or "you are too sensitive," or "you're imagining things." Over time, your trust in your own memory and perception completely collapses. You start apologizing for things that were done to you. You start doubting feelings that were completely valid. And once you stop trusting yourself, you start depending entirely on them for your version of reality. That dependence is exactly what they wanted. Gaslighting does not happen overnight. It happens in tiny moments accumulated over months and years until you genuinely cannot tell what is real anymore. The second tactic is love bombing. Before they control you, they overwhelm you. Constant attention, excessive compliments, making you feel like the most special person alive within days of meeting them. Psychology shows this is a deliberate strategy, conscious or not. They are building emotional debt, making you feel so chosen, so seen, so loved, that when control begins, you make excuses for it. Because you are desperately trying to get back to the person who made you feel that way in the beginning. But that person was never real. That version was a performance designed specifically to lower your defenses. The third tactic is called silent treatment as punishment. They do not argue. They do not explain. They simply disappear emotionally, withdrawing all warmth, all communication, all connection until you comply. Psychology shows this activates the same pain centers in the brain as physical injury. Your brain experiences their emotional withdrawal as a survival threat, and you'll do almost anything to make that pain stop. You apologize for things you did not do. You abandon boundaries you were right to have. You shrink yourself completely just to restore the connection. That desperation is the entire point. The fourth tactic is triangulation. They introduce a third person into the dynamic to create insecurity and competition. An ex they mention too often. A friend who apparently understands them better. A co-worker who appreciates them more than you do. The goal is to make you feel constantly replaceable, constantly on the edge of being discarded. Because an insecure person works harder to please. They become easier to control. They stop asking for their own needs to be met because they are too busy trying to secure their position. Triangulation turns love into a competition you were never supposed to win. The fifth tactic is called moving the goalposts. No matter what you do, it is never enough. You meet one standard and they create another. You fix one problem and three more appear. You become the person who is always almost good enough but never quite there. Psychology calls this intermittent reinforcement, and it is the exact same psychological mechanism used in slot machines. The occasional reward keeps you playing. The constant near miss keeps you trying. You become fully addicted to earning their approval without ever fully receiving it. And that addiction is more powerful than most people realize, because it's built directly into how the human brain processes reward and anticipation. The sixth tactic is victim playing. When you finally gather the courage to confront them, suddenly they're the one who is hurt. Your boundary becomes their wound. Your complaint becomes their crisis. They cry louder than you do about the damage they caused. And because you are a genuinely kind and empathetic person, you end up comforting the person who hurt you, apologizing to the person who wronged you, making the person who broke you feel better about breaking you. Psychology calls this DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It is one of the most well-documented and most effective manipulation tactics in all of psychological research. The seventh tactic is called isolation. It never happens dramatically. It starts with small comments about your friends, subtle suggestions that your family does not understand you the way they do, mild criticism of the people who love you most. Over months, they slowly position themselves as the only person who truly gets you, the only person you can trust, the only safe relationship in your life. And once they have successfully separated you from everyone else, You have no outside perspective left. No one to tell you what you cannot see. No one to remind you of who you were before them. Isolation is not a wall they build around you. It is a door they convince you to close yourself. The eighth tactic is emotional dependency creation. They become your primary source of comfort, validation, and emotional regulation. When you are sad, they are the only one who can fix it. When you are anxious, only they can calm you. When you doubt yourself, only their words reassure you. Psychology shows this is a manufactured dependency, built by making themselves a solution to problems they are quietly creating. You are not weak for falling into this. This is a sophisticated psychological process that works on the most intelligent and emotionally aware people alive. The most important thing psychology wants you to know is this. These tactics work specifically on good people, on empathetic people, on people who genuinely care about others and naturally assume others operate with the same level of care. Your empathy is not your flaw. Your kindness is not your weakness. But it is precisely what manipulative people look for. They do not target cold people. They target warm ones. They do not pursue people with walls. They pursue people with open hearts. Awareness is the only armor that actually works against manipulation. You cannot be controlled by tactics you can clearly see and name. The moment you recognize the pattern loses its power over you completely. You were never the problem. You were always the target. And knowing the difference changes everything. Share this with someone who needs to see these tactics clearly. And comment below, which tactic have you personally experienced? I read every single one.